2015, 2016, I was working as a project coordinator for a grassroots infrastructure development project that's funded by the Japanese government.
Yes.
And then one time I went to, I visited a forest next to Masai Mara. This NGO who applied for the fund, they wanted to build some beehives around the forest because there were a lot of people who were cutting down trees, and there was a lot of illegal cutting down trees.
Yes.
So they were like, okay, if we can provide income for the people around the neighborhood, then we can stop people to cut down trees. And as a project coordinator, for me, I was like, okay, that can be one solution. It is good, but I saw that there was an imbalance between the supply and the demand of charcoal. And as you say, we're trying to move away from charcoal, and I think that's okay. It's good. But then I was also thinking about the Kenyan food culture. In the Kenyan society, nyama choma is a special dish that you would be eating for celebrations and birthdays and so on. So I thought, as a foreigner, I thought I wouldn't be comfortable enough to say stop using charcoal because it's really part of your culture. So I was like, okay, if there's an imbalance between the demand and the supply, it's either you reduce the demand or you increase the supply. So then after I did my own research, I figured out that charcoal can be made out of sawdust. So I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. So that's how I started my journey.
Pretty much. But I want to take you, let's make this interesting a little bit. Back in 2016, you're looking at it and you're saying, well, if there's a problem here then, or let's create this solution within this problem, within demand and supply, and then said, can I start it? So this entire process of saying, if people are cutting down trees, then what is the end product of this and where they're taking it? Are you trying to replace this charcoal that is in existence within the Kenyan economy? Or you're saying, look here, if we're using trees then, is it the byproduct of these trees? Let's use it then to make something that is beneficial.
Yeah, it would be ideal if I can replace the conventional type of charcoal.
Yes.
And I think, okay, cutting down trees is not necessarily a bad thing as long as you keep on planting. It's just that the speed of cutting down the trees is just too fast compared to the demand.
Nice.
So I think cutting down trees for the purpose of making timber and things like that, I personally feel like it's okay.
Yes.
But when it's charcoal, it's just the demand is just too high. So if we don't need to cut down the trees for the sake of making the charcoal, then I thought that even the drought issues that we're having right now and so on would at least be a little eased than what we're experiencing right now. Yeah.
But, and I like the way you said, Baba, this is an idea that I have that I want to solve this particular problem. But within that, then you said, I got to figure what my value chain is going to be. Fine, there's a problem here, but if I want to expand it, got to figure where this raw material is going to come in from, how it gets to the factory. Can you talk to me about your setup? I know you figured about your value chain. This is exactly I'm going to get it and then make the final product.
So when I was working as a project coordinator, I was traveling all around Kenya, and then I saw a lot of sawdust just left outside of the timber yards, and then sometimes they were burning it because it was just taking up space. And I was like, okay, if this can be used, then at least I wouldn't be having any problems with the raw materials. So I think because of the nature of the work that I was doing before, I was able to observe where the materials can be available and where not and things like that. So I think that had really helped me to develop my ideas on this business.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Got to point you something that everybody keeps on saying, that for your business then to be quite successful, of course I'm going to look at it exactly how it is. So you've got to figure then, how do you attract more people into your business, saying, well, if you give me this, exactly what you're going to get. So for somebody who gives you sawdust, what do they get in return?
So we purchase the sawdust.
Oh, you purchase the sawdust.
We purchase it,
Yes.
Nowadays, there's also a high demand of sawdust, and there's a bit of competition to it. So like people use it for the raising the chicken, and some people, I think they compress it and make something like a wood board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there is value, and the market recognizes the value, so we purchase it.
Okay,
yeah,
pretty much. So your first target customer, like you said, out of this particular product, and we're going to have a look at it later on, is the restaurants who may say, if we use gas, cooking gas for that matter, for a particular type of foods, it's going to cost a lot it's going to draw a lot of energy, maybe to make boiled beef or boiled githeri or something like that, isn't it?
Yep.
And they said, that's your first client. Have they embraced it so far after you got back into the market?
Yeah, I think they really like the product, and their our customers, our regular customers, and I think they've also started talking about it to their customers.
Yes.
And then, so sometimes I just get random customers by just visiting the vibandas and stuff like that. So I think they're pretty much, happy with it, and they're...
So your competition essentially for this particular commodity is going to be the traditional charcoal and firewood within the market.
That's what I believe, yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And then people then talk about the price points of the two.
Right.
So which one is cheaper from where you said it?
So when you just do a simple calculation per like kg,
Yes.
so people usually, like the restaurants, they buy those gunias. So they tend to talk about the gunias, but I like to talk about it also by the kgs. But in terms of kgs, our product is slightly higher, of course,
Yes.
but the duration of, like, it burns much longer than the conventional. So the conventional charcoal, it burns for about less than an hour, I would say. And
Yes.
for the small pieces that's at the bottom of the gunia, it burns in like 15 minutes, 30 minutes.
You're done, isn't it?
Yeah, but for mine, it burns for approximately 2 to 3 hours. So even my individual customers, they keep on saying, oh, after I cooked githeri, I cooked this, that, and then I was able to boil hot water for showering. So that's how many things that you can do. So when you just compare it with the kgs, you would
Yes.
feel that the first impression would, maybe you'd think that it's expensive, but then if you use it in the right way, you end up actually saving the money, your money, and that's my whole point of doing this business.
Yes.
I'm not an NGO, I'm doing business here, and I think that in order to sustain my business, or in order to prove that my business is having some value, we need to get some value out of it, and also the customers, of course. So for me, before I even talk about the environment and so on, the first thing I talk to my customers is that this burns much longer, even the heat is stable, and you'll get more benefits out of it, even in terms of health. It doesn't have any smokes that come out of it.
Yes,
So
yes.
those are the things that I usually tell my customers, and I think there's there's more value to it than the traditional type of charcoal that's in the market right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the only value proposition for this particular, and I'm calling it smart charcoal and smart firewood, is that if you actually get to use it, you're going to burn longer hours. So if you have foods then that would require more energy and more time to get ready,
Right.
then this is a particular product for you, isn't
Exactly,
it?
exactly, yeah.
So have you retained customers on this particular product, you were saying?
Yes. So we've actually started selling this year in 2022.
By the way, I gotta talk to you about that. Let's just step down a bit. I'm sorry to jump in.
No problem. Yeah.
Because it's interesting that you started developing this product all the way up to 2020. COVID came in, stopped you on your tracks.
Yes.
And then after that, you came back at it again after COVID, isn't it?
Right.
And then now you're officially in the market. The introduction of the product into the market, how was it before we talk about the retention of your clients so far? Yes.
So the introduction of the product
Yes,
itself in the
into the
market.
market.
So I think in the beginning I was struggling a bit to figure out how to segment the market and who to target. So I did have an idea that I wanted to target the commercial customers just because they use it throughout the day. They use the charcoal throughout the day, but there's also like the types of food they provide in that restaurant, or there's also a difference of the size. So I've started, the first thing that popped into my mind was, okay, let me approach the Nyamachoma restaurants. But that was very difficult for me, honestly. I think the reason is because, okay, the chefs, they like the product. I've even, they've even tried it, but then it's always difficult as an employee to go up to your boss and say, this is the price of this charcoal, but still it has this kind of benefits. So it was really challenging, and now I've started to realize that the small to medium-sized restaurants are one of the best targets that I have, just because the owner they tend to be there.
They're right there, isn't it?
Yeah, they're like, okay, you explain to me what this is all about. So as long as you can talk to the boss, it makes things much easier. But when the boss is never there, it's really, really difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you think you're going to get to a level where even the bigger restaurants, which you will say actually do need this as well, are going to come in and embrace this particular commodity? But what is going to be your entry point to these bigger restaurants and hotels around?
I think one is first the recognition of the product itself. So it needs to be recognized across the society that this kind of product exists and what the characteristic is.
Yes.
Because I think as an owner, I guess, of the restaurants, one of the important things is what kind of value is it going to bring to my restaurant, and is it going to save my money? If it's not going to say, okay, this is supposed to be saving your money, but if it's not, then there needs to be additional things that is going to bring more value to your restaurant. So I think one of the most important things is first for people to get used to or to recognize what this product is all about. And right now I'm the only person who's selling it, approaching the restaurants and talking to people. So there's a limitation to what I'm doing. So I really thank you that you've invited me here, and it's a good opportunity for me to explain about the product. And sometimes people, asks me about briquettes, and they're like, oh, I've seen that product, it's briquettes, right? And
but
I'm like,
it's not.
It's not. The production, the process is completely different. It's like a difference of maybe beef sausage and chicken sausage or something. It looks the same, maybe, but the way you process is completely, the ingredients are also different.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So just before, we're going to look at the product, and then I get to talk about it as well. Do you see Akinai Limited, in line to this product, sort of morph into having agents and guys who subscribe to the product, who are essentially then will be tasked with delivering this product to this particular premises?
I think having agents would be a very good idea, as long as we have enough production that's going on, and as long as there's going to be some profit on the agent and also to the restaurant by using the product. So I think I'm not really particular about whether or not we should be having agents or not, as long as there's a way to make everyone happy. I am more than willing to have agents. It's just that with my limitation right now, it's just the first year. I'm just taking my steps one step at a time. But yeah.
Would you say the kind of traction that you've gained in the market so far gives you the sort of hope, for every other business person that this is a product that is going to click? Would you talk to me about some of the responses that you've got from them?
Yeah, I do get a lot of positive responses from the market, which is really encouraging. There's also a lot of people who have come up to me and said, oh, can I sell this product in this area, and things like that. And I'm in discussion with some of the people, but I think what they really like about the product is that, for example, for the restaurants, because it doesn't have the smoke that comes out or the odor that usually comes out from the traditional charcoal. For the guests, it's really good, especially when it's like a restaurant where they dress well. They don't want to have smoke all over the place. So they really like the fact that there's no smoke. And then also where they serve drinks, alcohol, that kind of restaurant, they like it because some of their guests, they take time to finish the food. They're just drinking and having fun. So some people, they use it for warming the pot dishes that they have.
Yes.
If the charcoal gets finished in 30 minutes, then the food will get cold. But if they can stay for 3 hours, and still the food that they serve is still warm. So, and then for the street vendors, the vibandas, the people who make chapati keep on telling me that they don't need to keep on adding the charcoal when they cook like hundreds and several chapatis.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the responses that I'm getting so far.
Pretty much. Now, I just want to hold one of these products, by the way, so we can actually, and it's quite heavy.
It's heavy, right? It's very dense. Yeah, yeah.
It's quite heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like 1 kg, yeah. Or slightly over.
It's actually slightly over 1 kg.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now I see now the quality of the product. I thought it was quite light. No, it's it's not light.
That's what we do.
It's actually quite heavy, isn't it? Yeah. Now this is the smart firewood, you were saying?
Yes, exactly.
Now this is the firewood.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we do is that we just dry the sawdust and then compress it with a machine. So that compressing with the machine was what took me to take 5 years to develop this technology.
I see that now.
It was just stuck in the machine all the time. I thought the moment I buy the machine, I would start selling.
That's it, start getting it out immediately because the idea is already there. Just compress it and give me the product.
But there's more to it. It's like you need to be very specific with the type of sawdust you use, and it's never the indigenous ones. That's and we just buy the sawdust from the trees that's coming from the tree farmers. So it's a sustainable resource. So that's what we do. We compress it, and then that one, it burns for like an hour. And there's this video clip that I have been posting in the social media, and then whenever I go to sell the product, and then I show my customers this is what I'm selling, they're like, "Are you sure you're not adding any oil to it?" And I'm like, "No,
I'm not adding anything to it."
And you know, because we dry the sawdust before we process it, it burns quite well, and even the heat is pretty strong.
Yes, I see that because okay. So another question that somebody's going to ask you when you're looking at this product: does it need a special burner to actually get it on it?
Thank you for asking. That's another advantage of these products. You can just use any type of equipment that you have. Even for the charcoal, you can just use a standard Jiko, any type of Jiko. So there's no need to buy something else. But because it's very dense, of course, in the beginning, it would be slightly difficult to light it.
That's what I want to ask next, isn't it? Let me just ask that question then, for the sake of anybody who's listening. It's dense, and you know the lighting process of a Jiko or whatever burner you have is part of it. So how do you get it on?
At my house, I just use some small branches and paper sometimes, and that's all.
And it's gone in. Another question, they're going to get is it hard to break? Because we know the traditional Jikos that we have.
I think we can just break it right now. I don't think it would damage your table, but it's just so simple. Oh, sorry. I think I should use the ground. It's just
it's actually
I know
broken.
it didn't show up in the, in the stream, but even the charcoal, it's just as simple as that. So if you have a limited size for your Jiko, then you can just break it up on the by tapping it on the ground.
And then after that, it's right in. Okay, I'm going to the second product that we have here, by the way, and it's not even making my hands dirty. If there's anybody wondering what this is, isn't it? It's
that's
quite clean.
What a lot of.
This is the charcoal. It's a bit light than the firewood.
Yes. So what we do is that we carbonize this one, so you can compare the size. Originally, it used to be this size, but after carbonizing, after burning the unnecessary gas and things like that, it becomes lighter. So that's what it is.
And I would say then this one will be easier to break and all that for anybody who wants to actually get it. It looks like normal charcoal actually. It's normal charcoal. For anybody who's wondering, it's just got a tiny hole in between, and I think that will be good for when you want to burn it because it will burn even faster when it's got the hole inside. So this product, you're saying this particular product then took you what? 5 years. 5 years. Well, is that when you were saying, wow, man, it's not possible?
you know, I was even operating the machine myself, and
Yeah.
then when it didn't work, it used to smoke all over the room. You know, this is done indoors.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is something that I believe would work, but I'm not seeing any like progress that's being made. So there were times that I felt like crying because, you know, of the investments that I've made and all of those things. But I think God was good, and
then
He helped
here we
me.
are with the final product, isn't
exactly,
it? So
yeah.
paint for me a picture of where you want Akinai Limited. But even before this, could you paint for me a picture of what your next, I know you're looking at partnerships, you're looking at looking for partnerships to help you push the product into the market, even government conversations on exactly how we can actually get this product now promoted to households within the country. Are we seeing your company get into strategic partnerships now that are going to help you push this product to the market? Yeah.
Actually, I'm open to any type of partnerships as long as it makes for both of us. I think my next step would be really to increase to scale up the production. So right now,
what are you doing right now in terms of your production volumes?
So we are trying to maximize the capacity that we have, but sometimes there's a lot of things that also needs to be like done outdoors, like sieving the sawdust, because there's a lot of big chunks sometimes included when we buy it. So the weather sometimes affects us, and it also affects the production. But I think the first thing we really need to do is to scale up the production by finding ways to minimize the losses, not just by the weather, but also to secure, you know, like enough sawdust so that we would never purchase it after we run out of the sawdust and things like that. And also like with this kind of season, there's a lot of rain, so it's best when we can buy it when it's the dry season. That way we don't need to spend so much time drying the sawdust. Yeah, so those are the things that we're working on right now.
Yes, but from a conversation point of where you are right now, I know you're giving yourself timelines, and I'm sorry COVID came in and then sort of disrupted everything, and you had to go back again and then say, well, can we get the thing running? What were the timelines that you're giving yourself as the MD for the company to make sure that indeed, at least out of the investments that we made into this product for the last 6 years, you would say, that at least you will start to cut even? What timelines are you looking at?
So my deadline is to one of the short-term goals is for the company to at least have like right now we have several customers, but I think it's to have like 15 regular customers by next year, because that would automatically mean that we'll be able to buy new machines and to increase the capacity and so on. So that's the short-term goal that I have right now. Right now it's around half of that.
Yes. Pretty much. And you would say that since you started this year, and then those numbers then give you hope that indeed more customers are going to subscribe to the product. Pretty much. Can we clear like this then? I know we're running out of time, but in just 15 seconds, can you paint for me a picture of Akinai Limited then in the next 5 years, in as much as this conversation is concerned? Could you paint for me that vision?
In the next 5 years. So I think it's really just to scale up the production so that more and more people will have access to the charcoal.
Yes.
Ideally, I'm thinking of having several workshops within Kenya. So right now we only have one.
Yes.
But it's always good when the production site is close to the consumption site.
Yes.
So right now we have a site near Nairobi, but ideally, if we want to reach out to more and more people, in each area, we should be having a workshop to produce the product.
Yes.
So that's the midterm vision that I'm having right now.
Pretty much. I would like to say
Sorry,
thank you.
it wasn't 15
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah, but it's exactly that, isn't it? I would like to say thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you.
And should somebody want to get this product from you, what would they do today?
I think the easiest way is for the customers to reach out to us through Instagram. We have a account. You can just search by typing Akinai Charcoal Kenya. So then it would show up. And then we have some regular delivery schedules. So within Nairobi. So if it's within Nairobi, it would make it easier for us to agree on where we can deliver and when to, and so on. So I think that's the best way to reach us.
Fantastic. Guess what? An agent who wants to pick and sell as well? Is that
Sure,
is that
yeah,
really
of course,
possible as well,
yep.
isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for visiting.
Thank
This
you.
has been one of the best conversations I've had this year.
Thank
I
you.
like it
Thank you
when
for
I
having
see
us.
solutions like this and we get to talk about them and actually get to see the product. Guess what? I'll be looking for it myself.
Thank you so much.
All right, all right. Now, you don't know what to do. You want part of this product. You don't know what to do then. Go to Instagram, type Akinai Charcoal. We're going to get that. You want to sell? I think their contacts are there. Then you can get to talk to them as well and see some of the smart energy solutions that we have. And they say the value proposition is that, yes, you might say it's a bit expensive than normal charcoal that you're getting on firewood, but they say it burns twice as much. So why not? You're getting value for every coin that you put into that. This has been another episode. My name is Simba, Elijah Charles Kenya. I'll see you tomorrow for conversations on the real estate sector. Goodbye.